Come and read more of my works on the website under Yuan. Keywords of the novel. I have abused and mistreated eerie differences 1,000 times. Eerie differences treat me like first love without a pop-up window. I have abused and mistreated eerie differences 1,000 times. Eerie differences treat me like first love. Download the complete set of TXT. I have abused and mistreated eerie differences 1,000 times. Eerie differences treat me like first love. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. 01 Burial of the Adoptive Father and Capture of the Treacherous. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 101 Burial of the Adoptive Father and Capture of the Treacherous. In front of a newly erected tomb in Qinglong Cemetery in City A young woman is lying in front of the tomb, crying her heart and lungs apart. My adoptive father, why did you just leave like this? The woman cried bitterly, pitiful. A hunched new ghost sat in front of the tomb, looking pitifully at the woman. Her eyes were filled with heartache and guilt, unable to conceal her sadness. She also wiped away tears and cried incessantly. Next to him, Yen Dudajun crossed his hands on his chest and looked at him coldly, saying, Aren't you leaving yet? How many heavenly rules have you violated, this dead ghost? I'll keep one eye open and one eye closed. What secret have you revealed this time? You've been ambushed by someone. The skinny old man wiped away his tears and said with great grievance, You don't even know, Yen Duda. How could I, as an ordinary person, know? It's strange to say that my death is strange, and all the finger-pinching algorithms are useless. It's just that the fire that day was very strange, and I also had a bad feeling in my heart. After calculating it several times, it's difficult to determine. Yen Duda said, My life and death book doesn't have your name on it. It's strange that it suddenly appears. I can't even calculate what crime you've committed. You're going to die so soon. The skinny old man said, I have been ambushed by someone, and I'm afraid there must be an accomplice between you. My death is also a top-level way of dying, and I will soon lose my soul. It's better not to go to hell than to go to hell. Thank you so much for taking care of me, Lord Yen. Before I finished speaking, I burst into tears again. Yen Duda Jun felt bored and said coldly, What else do you have to explain? Tell me quickly. Time is coming, and your soul is about to disperse. I can't help it either. The skinny old man knew he was about to lose his soul, and his lower body had begun to turn into black smoke slowly drifting away. He said to the king, I borrowed her divine eye, sold her divine power, and stole her from my parents. I'm sorry for her. But this conspiracy is too complicated, and I haven't investigated it yet. I understand. After I die, she will return to her body. Before he could finish speaking, the old man's head dissipated in an instant. The woman mourned in pain in front of the tomb, as if separated from the old man's body and soul. The old man was no longer in this world, or that world. And her body reassembled. In short, Yen Duda did not blame those who died, but also saw many mournful and crying humans. I just think it's reasonable, but as for which immortal the old man offended, he's not interested. However, this old man is his messenger in the human world, and his death method is mysterious. We still need to investigate carefully. This is a ghost that has been privately dealt with, but there is no detailed record. If it weren't for this old man being his own human envoy, Yen Duda might not have carefully read the life and death book. Usually, little ghosts come to collect their souls, and the dignified underworld master won't come easily. It's strange that the old man couldn't tell the heavens to come before he died. Even though his name and storage records were recorded in the life and death book, how could it be erased from the book in an instant? Yen Duda was surprised. Did there appear again in the underworld to be people who bend the law for personal gain? Let's not think about it for now, let's take a look at this pitiful crying girl. Yen Duda lowered his head and leaned close to the woman's face, eyes to eyes, nose to nose. She looked really beautiful, crying beautifully. Her face was white and red, paired with her watery eyes. Her figure was faintly visible in a plain outfit, and her messy hair was beautiful, truly beautiful. Duda relied on himself as a ghost, and humans couldn't see him. He acted recklessly against a woman's face and body, lewd and twisted. The woman suddenly stopped crying and stood up calmly, her eyes fixed on Duda Jun's face. Jun thought to himself, "Hey, this girl is really beautiful. Even if she cries so sadly, she is still very beautiful." In an instant, a slap on the face of the woman flew like lightning over Duda Jun's face, and Duda Jun's face flew several meters away from his body in an instant. "I'll go, she can see me." This falls back to Duda Jun lying on the ground, crying and howling, which is too painful for his mother. No one has ever hit him in hundreds of years. Before Duda could react, there was another heavy kick. The Duda Jun who fought did not even realize what was going on. 3 seconds later, she pulled off the possessed shield from Duda Jun's neck and hung it around her neck, putting Duda Jun in a pre-prepared bag like garbage. Carrying it on your back, quickly walk down Qinglong Mountain, open the trunk, throw the bag into the trunk, and drive all the way to a city. In short, Duda Jun was kidnapped by a human-like little woman. How exactly did she see him? Even Lord Yen forgot that this rough old man knows magic, so naturally she does. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. 02 The Abduction of Duda Jun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 202 The Abduction of Duda Jun. Without the possessed shield, Duda could not return to the underworld. Although they have the freedom to work, no need to clock in, and don't care about the immortals above, it's not reasonable for them to disappear like this. But who would have thought that a notorious ghost had been kidnapped? There is no record of history before and no one after, and the key is to be beaten severely. No, it's dozens of meals. This little woman doesn't say anything. As long as Duda shows any signs of resistance, she will directly strike. Duda Jun wanted to die, but he couldn't die. Without a protective shield, he would lose his divine power and still have a mortal heart, able to perceive the 7 emotions and 6 desires in the world. If there is a physical body, the body will perceive, wait, and cannot fly. It will become increasingly turbid all over the body, which is like eating feces for immortals who only eat immortal energy. Apart from his heavenly eyes and some divine powers, he really can't beat her. This gentle and weak woman is truly frightening, even more powerful than all the powerful female ghosts I have seen in the past few hundred years combined. At least those female ghosts are just showing their teeth and claws to scare him. They always clean up easily, and they are also afraid of Duda. They hide and walk. Who dares to act so rudely? Moreover, Duda Jun is more handsome than Panan and even more handsome than the typical man with 8 abdominal muscles. He looks pleasing to the eye, and there is no reason to be willing to fight. Duda finally surrendered. "Ask, miss, I'll give you whatever you want." "Don't hit me, here," taking a breath, he continued, "or find another ghost to bring a message to the underworld. I can give you whatever you want." Duda Jun has memorized the rules of human games thoroughly. This woman is nothing more than asking for money and fame. This is garbage in the underworld, and she can satisfy everything she wants. She played with the protective shield in her hand and lowered her head silently. Cross-legged on a long table, lying diagonally on a huge soft sofa. Kneeling on the carpet next to him was Duda Jun, who was beaten up and had all kinds of meat and vegetables. He dared not say a word. Poor Duda Jun, not to mention his dignity, could not even be a ghost. It's all his fault. He underestimates the rumors that humans are afraid of ghosts. When he goes out, he always plays pranks and wanders around the world, wearing his protective shield carelessly. He never imagined that humans would see him, steal his things, and beat him to death. It's been so long, not even a wandering ghost has appeared in this big house, full of yang energy. Whenever a little ghost comes over, he can be saved, but unfortunately this big house is too clean and has no trace of ghostly energy. This old man is too dedicated to his profession. He's so far away that he can't even smell ghosts. Duda let out a deep sigh. Even if there is a ghost, he may run very fast. He is such a deadly god, who is not afraid. Which of those ghosts has escaped from his life and death book? Those who commit heinous crimes will suffer from hell, while those who wait for reincarnation will still experience the pain of loneliness, and despair. Think about your own experience, Duda Jun said, the first time I felt that the world was hell. The woman lifted her handsome face and asked leisurely, Lord Yen, how did my adoptive father die? Duda hesitated for a moment and said, I really don't know. I'm also a servant. I'll execute whatever the boss arranges. Can you ask someone else? The woman stared at him intently and said, I finally caught you back. If you don't tell me, I won't let you go. Duda quickly replied, your adoptive father has been with me for many years and is a man. I treat him well in my daily life. If I really know the exact date of his death, I will inform him. However, his life and death cause and effect are not calculated by me, and the life and death list and fate in the system are not from my hands. I just saw on the spot that someone was to be taken in Qinglong Mountain. Who knew it was him, and he was subjected to extreme punishment. Such a heavy punishment, unless he committed Tiantiao. The woman remained silent, and of course she knew it. However, her adoptive father had always been honest and down to earth, prioritizing human life. He would not unjustly demand human life or commit acts of depravity, and even regarded money as dirt. So how did he die and be sentenced to death with extreme punishment, which is unreasonable? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. 03 Divine Shield Confiscated. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 303 Divine Shield Confiscated. Duda was a magnificent and powerful figure, but was defeated by a woman. Don't say it's right or wrong, he feels sorry for the believers who kneel on the ground and offer him incense every day. Does a mistake turn into eternal hatred, and the consequences of neglecting humanity too much? Usually, others flatter Duda Jun, play emotional cards, give gifts, and think about Duda Jun's preferences. Even in the ghost world, he is also a prominent figure. Handsome and elegant, charming and charming, talented and talented, the human world is simply more terrifying than hell. This mortal beauty is even more terrifying than a female ghost. Duda felt a bit scared. He thought of death, and once he died, he could return to hell, but she didn't let him go back. Life is better than death, this moment is too suitable for him. This dead old man gave him a lot of benefits before his death, but he didn't mention that he also had a mother yet a daughter, and I don't understand how she knew about the existence of Duda Jun. Accurately capturing him in front of the tomb, the whole process was completed in less than a minute, and it was simply meticulously prepared. He really can't figure out why this terrible old man is doing this. But he also vaguely felt that this terrible old man probably didn't understand his plan for his adopted daughter. The woman said leisurely, before my adoptive father died, many strange things happened. He couldn't figure it out with his fingers, nor could he figure it out with his divination. The same goes for me. But I remember he said that after he died, my heavenly eyes would open. The woman suddenly stood up, with her hand behind her, looked up at the ceiling, picked up the water cup on the table, and with a clang sound, she killed a mosquito. Water also spilled all over the ground, and glass shards shattered all over the ground. Duda was so scared that his heart was about to come out, and his brain was pounding. Is this just the feeling of being alive? It's so fucking exciting. A splashing glass scratched her arm, and she lifted her arm and licked it with her mouth. She squatted next to Duda Jun and continued, my adoptive father wants me to find a man to marry when I'm 20 years old, otherwise I'll die like him. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid I'll never know that truth. My adoptive father discovered something unusual about me when he adopted me. He calculated that I would die at the age of 20, and he said that only marrying a ghost is enough. He talked about you, and over the years, he has come into contact with many ghosts and other ghosts. My adoptive father said you are not bad and asked me to kidnap you back after his death. After speaking, she also wiped the blood from her arm into Duda Jun's mouth. She asked him to taste the smell of blood and remember the taste of the first bite of human blood. After he became a human, this bite of human blood was his initial setting. Then he lay on the sofa without changing his expression and continued to play with the divine shield in his hand. Nima. This old thing originally had an idea for me more than a decade ago. No wonder he usually provides me with so many good things, shows me great care, is considerate, and understands me comprehensively. I think he admires me. This is clearly a preparation that has already been prepared to lure me into the door. No, is this bad old man so cunning? Or is this bad woman fabricating lies? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Jun loses freedom. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Jun loses freedom. Duda regretted getting too close to this bad old man on weekdays. He knew Jun's weakness. It is this shield that without it, one cannot enter the divine and earthly realms, nor can one unleash their magic. Perhaps this is also a pass to the underworld. A work card. Jun is a ghost and god, although his magical power is boundless, there are also taboos. For example, one cannot touch human blood. People and ghosts are different, and there are always differences between yin and yang. If one touches human blood, even the remaining mana will be locked. This woman wants him to stay in human life and marry her. Duda thought that this was the mother tiger. I couldn't help but shout inwardly, my heavenly god grandpa, come and save me and get out. No response. Duda Jun has already planned to fight to the end, vowing not to comply. How could he fall into the world and become someone else's husband? Game life is no longer a problem. It is absolutely impossible for him to be a dignified individual. Before Duda could finish thinking, the woman walked forward, squatted down, and learned from Duda's appearance in front of the Qinglong tomb, rub her fair and handsome face against Duda Jun's rough and handsome face, and then used the tip of her nose to touch his nose. A mischievous smile on her face did not conceal her arrogance and impoliteness. Then she hugged his shoulder and twisted Duda Jun's face fiercely, pinching his neck and sneering, saying, I am Nanxiao, your wife. Tonight is the wedding night. After speaking, he turned around and left, leaving behind Duda Jun, who was stunned and frightened. Nanxiao instructed the servants outside the door to bathe and change the clothes of a new uncle, preparing to get married at night. The servants walked into the huge room, carefully searching every corner of the room, but couldn't find anyone. Scratching his ears and cheeks, he ran out in search of their new uncle. At this moment, Duda Jun's small heart was pounding with pain, and he couldn't bear such humiliation. If a human wants to forcibly marry him and take away his centuries of innocence, then even the immortals have the same voice. But he still has Zixia, Yunnan, Huawan. So many fairies. How can he explain? Moreover, immortals do not indulge in worldly pleasures, let alone indulge in the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the human world. Otherwise, these thousands of years of cultivation would be equivalent to a waste of cultivation. He is not interested in love in the world, and he is not a person. Why did he catch Duda as his husband? It's okay to just follow a ghost on the roadside, such as a flirtatious ghost, a death-seeking ghost, a lustful ghost. There are so many ghosts, any one of them is okay. Why is it just him? Is it because I didn't look at the almanac when I went out? Or is it the reason for being too diligent over the past few hundred years? Duda's heart began to curse at the despicable old man who had already lost his soul. If it weren't for him, why would he be here today? If he hadn't been invited as a human envoy back then and not been allowed to investigate the bribery in the ghost world, he probably wouldn't have known so much about himself, let alone become his son. Law. Duda's heart was filled with 10,000 running horses at this moment. Lord Yen did not notice that he had already developed some mortal hearts, with fear, worry, and a heart of anger and ignorance his body will start to become heavy, no longer light, and will reveal its prototype. This is probably also a part of the price he will have to pay in the future. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. As agreed, only work for 3 months. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. As agreed, only work for 3 months. Nanxiao's villa is located in the suburbs of a city, which is secluded, especially suitable for a woman like her who is solitary and aloof. The surroundings of the house are lush and covered with various plants and flowers. My adoptive father was a divine operator before his death, and the people who came to him to do things were either rich or noble. Although she is his adopted daughter, she has been raised since childhood and is also regarded as her own child, nurturing her like a pearl in her palm. As for her background, her adoptive father didn't say much, only that she had divine power and was born purple all over, emitting a dim light in the darkness. Although the exact time of birth is unknown, ordinary families may treat such a peculiar body as an unhealthy child, suffer from severe hypoxia, or worry about not being able to support it. As for whether she was abandoned or her loved ones were unintentionally lost, the master did not explain, and she is also unaware. My adoptive father treated her very well and almost taught her lifelong skills, asking her to believe in the righteous path of the world and take her through the 3 realms of human, divine, and ghost. She is willing to believe him. This is a person who has given her a lot of love. In Nanxiao's heart, he is his own father. Over the years, she has also been secretly investigating her own background, but has found nothing. She felt her difference in the dark, but couldn't express it clearly in words. She was waiting for that person to come out. The profession of divination operator is inherently aloof and unapproachable, and has always been far from the crowd. Moreover, Nanxiao's uniqueness makes her have few friends, let alone interpersonal relationships. That handsome face confused many people, with a decisive and ruthless nature that even my adoptive father felt scared. My adoptive father has many disciples around him, all of whom are on their own side. They unconsciously became Nanxiao's henceforth helpers, helping her find the truth. But now, even the death of my master has become a mystery. Emperor Yendu was dressed in modern clothes, a suit and leather shoes, exuding a majestic aura that truly amazed people. This person was born in heaven, and it is rare to have such an extraordinary demeanor in the world. Yes, he is already a god. Nanxiao was very satisfied with the attire of Duda Jun and reminded him to have guests come over at night, asking him to behave well. Duda has stopped working, and he is not afraid to fight anymore. He is all focused on showing off. Nanxiao went up and whispered in her ear, 3 months, you only need to cooperate with me for 3 months. If you can't find out the truth, I'll let you go. Otherwise, what? I just won't do it anymore. Nanxiao said, then I will shatter the divine shield and bury it in the dirty corpse, so that you will always stay in that dirty corpse. You're ruthless. Lousy, I'll just do it. 3 months, as agreed, only 3 months. Duda has never been so embarrassed as today, wanting to compromise, being afraid, and looking pitiful. 3 months is just 3 months, just like wandering around the world. When I return, I will make sure this woman looks good. Every slap, fist, and stinky foot she hits me, I will double the price for it. I want her to be reborn without a chance and go to hell to get into trouble. Duda's mind was filled with countless scenes of tormenting Nanxiao, but little did she know that Nanxiao had no intention of living in this world, or in hell. She understood that if it were not possible, she would also be completely scared. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Banquet Celebrities from City A. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Banquet Celebrities from City A. The dignitaries and celebrities of City A have all come to Nanxiao's villa, not so much to attend her wedding as to pry into information. The intertwined chain of interests will also undergo many changes with the passing of her adoptive father. Nanxiao is not quite sure why these people value their adoptive father so much. She can easily invite them to the scene as a small person. The mystery of my adoptive father's death must also be related to this group of people. Who actually plotted the murder? She wants to test this group of people tonight. I also want to tell these people that she has taken on the mantle and will continue to serve everyone. So, the killer will definitely come over to test. As for who it was, Nanxiao had already figured out a strategy to find him. Those who work in their profession will not fight and kill like ordinary black sedans, they all start in secret. My adoptive father never indulges in such activities, and no matter how much money he gives, he won't do it. Only predicting one's future and destiny, resolving disasters and difficulties. But I have also heard many shocking events that are unspeakable, and my adoptive father is unlikely to intervene or influence them. These are all destined causes and effects. If they forcefully reverse, they will have to pay a very high price, whether it's money or human life. But he never gets involved in human life himself, nor does he allow Nanxiao to change his fate against the heavens. Even Nanxiao doesn't know many things about his adoptive father. Any gossip about the customer will never be revealed to Nanxiao, firstly to ensure the customer's peace of mind, and secondly to prevent Nanxiao from being killed. But now, the matter of my adoptive father is clearly an assassination, how can Nanxiao ignore it? My adoptive father's birthday is still 20 years away, and he is so scared. Who did this? Even Lord Yan is unaware, indicating that the human rights situation behind it is significant, or there are even greater hidden activities that are still ongoing. Nanxiao's invitation quickly reached the hands of various celebrities in a city, and they wouldn't waste time attending a nobody's wedding. Nanxiao, a little girl, is of any importance. But soon I was startled by another piece of information, and inside the invitation was a piece of paper that read: "My father passed away suddenly due to illness and has now been buried. All personal belongings left at my father's place need to be retrieved. In the future, I will serve you all and prepare some food and drinks tonight to thank you all for taking care of my father. Nanxiao." They were very surprised that this divine operator suddenly died, and they were also very anxious to retrieve their personal belongings. If so many secrets were leaked, it would be difficult to handle. Besides worrying, she was also very surprised by Nanxiao's approach. When her father passed away, she held a wedding banquet. What was this operation? Chom mourning. Is there such a practice? Everyone had a devilish plan to go to the banquet and also wanted to inquire about how this divine operator died. As for Nanxiao, he is also somewhat famous. The several major families in City A are also clients of Master, and their economic interests are intricately intertwined. I'm afraid this is also the cause of my adoptive father's death. He must have known something. She wants to uncover the truth. These businessmen and celebrities rarely associate with Nanxiao, only with her adoptive father. This shrewd and cunning old man seems to know too much, but unfortunately, only his divination is the most accurate. However, he knows too much and has to make some preparations. However, who was in such a hurry to take action? If this little girl Nanxiao knows something and has something of theirs in her hand. So don't blame them for being ruthless. Everyone plans to explore tonight, and if they know anything, they will kill them directly. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Officer N. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Officer N Tianxia is a police chief. In City A, it is well known. We have solved many major cases. Officer N and Nanxiao became acquainted due to a dog they encountered on the way. In his early 20s, he had just obtained his license plate and was riding a motorcycle when a dog suddenly rushed onto the road. At that moment, Nanxiao went to save it. The dog was saved, but Nanxiao was injured. At that time, Tianxia was still a police academy student, and Nanxiao was a young girl. When Tianxia was still in shock, Nanxiao had already left and blood was still flowing on his arm, and Tianxia shouted from behind. Hey! You're bleeding, I'll take you to the hospital. Nanxiao too didn't turn back and said, "No need." From that time on, Tianxia felt that Nanxiao, this little girl, was really cool and unique. There is no coquettish appearance, there is a feeling deep down that he cannot express, in short, it is another charming way. Officer and lying on the ground was eventually taken to the hospital. What can stop a person from realizing their ideals? Moreover, moving towards ideals can also make one more capable and handsome. After graduating from university, Tianxia became an sir in the A City police force. Years later, Officer and Nanxiao met again at the same martial arts school and practiced martial arts together. At that time, Nanxiao had grown up a bit, and he was already well-known. He looked at Nanxiao with a heart of pity. He couldn't forget the charming temperament on Nanxiao's body. Even without any reason, he developed a heart. He wanted to protect her. The old martial artist in the school looked at him angrily, and Sherifan was always worried about Nanxiao's safety. He often had to teach her some movements on his own before he could rest assured. The teacher at the school looked very angry. This is a martial arts school, not a game. If you really want to practice, you always protect Nanxiao. How can I teach you? After only a few classes, Officer N was driven away by his master. It's really eye-catching. It's like an old cow guarding its calf, surrounded by a calf and not approached by anyone, but Officer N's face is really tough. Come again. The martial arts teacher asked Nanxiao to play well, but fortunately, Nanxiao was never afraid of hardship or fatigue, and he learned quickly and his skills were amazing. You don't need a few moves to beat Tianxia away. The security officers were reluctant to hit Nanxiao and guarded him carefully. But Nanxiao doesn't care about so much at all. That time, Tianxia was admitted to the hospital. In Officer N's eyes, Nanxiao is still a child. Now that Nanxiao is only 20 years old, she's getting married. Sherifan doesn't understand. He wants to come and take a look and persuade her. When she grows up a bit more, she is still a half-year-old child. What do you know? He needs to advise her not to fall in love early. There are many bad men who are just sweet words, but he is different, he understands Nanxiao's heart. If you want to find someone who is manly, handsome, capable, just like him, with patience and love, yes. He is talking about himself. Officer N chuckled foolishly in front of the mirror, not worried about being slapped in the face. Besides, which man deserves his xiao? Yes, his xiao. He has recited this lovely title countless times in his heart, fantasizing about their future. He has been waiting for her to grow up these years, but suddenly, Nanxiao got married, and it's still tonight. How can it be, how can it be? Tianxia matched his gun and polished his leather shoes shiny. He put on his handsome and shabby windbreaker, revealing his gun belt. He wanted to showcase and promote himself, and the enemy would immediately flee upon seeing him. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Wedding Banquet. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Wedding Banquet. The evening banquet is about to begin. Duda Jun looked reluctant and afraid of being beaten. Nanxiao grabbed Duda Jun's neck and said, as if holding a chicken, tonight, keep an eye on them. If any of them can see you, remember to tell me. Only this person can kill my adoptive father, this matter is definitely related to him. It's not easy to see you. Nanxiao was certain that someone had already set their sights on his adoptive father. However, Duda did not agree, and Nanxiao's words were simply going in one ear and out the other. He was trying to resist her, and his mind was filled with images of how he used to fight against female ghosts. Nanxiao looked at Duda Jun with an absent-minded expression and the virtue of a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. He punched him and said, "Otherwise, you did my adoptive father's death. It's over." Duda remained speechless and timidly replied, "Indeed, I have divine power to decide the life and death of others, but I am not someone without principles and disregard the life and death of others. You can't wrongly accuse me. Also, you're not allowed to do it. If you do it again, I'll die and show you. Nanxiao crossed his waist and approached step by step, staring intently into the eyes of Yan Jun. Show me death. Alas, the sad and helpless Lord Yen has never experienced human life. When I was beaten, my head was still frantically inputting survival strategies into the human world. I understand on a large scale that this woman is looking for a scapegoat to replace the dead. He is this unlucky guy. Survival is impossible, there is no way to seek death. The banquet began, and the guests were all present. They were about to see what the woman who had just passed away her father's wedding wanted to do, and also took away what belonged to them. The divination operator calculates a person's future destiny and needs to mortgage a personal item. After 3 months, this item must be returned to the owner, otherwise if the divination operator dies, they will be backfired. But they didn't know that this divine operator had already gone berserk, and whether or not to take this personal item was meaningless. Who exactly did the adoptive father come into contact with before his death, as Nanxiao wanted to write down one by one? She couldn't let go of any clues. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Miss Nanxiao Crazy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Miss Nanxiao Crazy. The guests who came were chatting and laughing, but each had their own ulterior motives. Businessmen, politicians, celebrities from all walks of life. They looked at Nanxiao on stage, dressed in gorgeous formal attire, holding on to Duda Jun. She generously expressed her gratitude to the guests, introduced her husband, Yan Jun, and then held the microphone to ask Yan Jun to say a few words. Yan Jun had to face the microphone and repeat Nanxiao's words, trembling all over. Everyone in the audience showed surprised expressions and whispered softly. Miss Nanxiao was heartbroken and went crazy. Where is the groom? There's just a bride standing in the empty hall. The voice grew louder and louder, and only one person listened calmly. He knew that Nanxiao was not crazy, but just married a ghost. Of course, he didn't know that the ghost being kidnapped was Lord Yen. He looked for a while and sneaked away through the back door. Who is he? Yen Duda only depicted a hairy mole growing at the corner of this person's mouth. Nanxiao's wedding became a joke among the people of a city after tea and dinner. A young woman went crazy and got married empty-handed. Sheriffan looked at Nanxiao with great sadness. Has his beloved Nanxiao gone crazy? But her appearance on stage, how could it be like that? Her words were still so calm and gentle, whispering softly. Or was she pretending? No, he needs to go take a look. Even if she goes crazy, he still wants to cure her. At night, the security officer returned from home to the villa in Nanxiao, the suburbs. He wanted to sneak in, ask Nanxiao, or find out the truth. His Nanxiao couldn't go crazy. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Bridal Night in the Bridal Chamber. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Bridal Night in the Bridal Chamber. The guests dispersed, and it was Nanxiao's wedding night. No, it was Yendu Dajun's wedding night. He has already filled his mind with scenes of the wedding night in the human world. It feels great to have fun secretly, to be like that. Being a good person is not bad. This Qinghuan is a little red on Mantu. It's a hint of green in early spring. It's a touch of white in winter. That's a subtle joy, a faint smile in the heart. Silently, only the heart knows. It is a light footstep. It's the fluttering willow catkins. It was a flower-picking smile. At this moment, all the words and phrases in the world floated into his mind, and he even thought of the sweet words to say. At this moment, Yen Duda is shy, with palpitations and anxieties in his heart. He also feels a bit reluctant to be pinched and pinched. Although it is not allowed for them to fall in love or get married, he was forced to do so. Otherwise, he would be killed. He is the victim. In short, he has no mistakes. It's all the trouble caused by the lunar elder. Thinking of this, Lord Yen looked forward to it a bit. Although the mother tiger was very fierce, it seemed that there was no loss for him to experience this precious moment in the world. There is a saying that goes, if you can't resist, then enjoy the torment of life on you. Come on, little fairy, torture me. Nanxiao's candlelight night looks really strange, and the servants outside are also very curious about whether their master is really crazy. They not only want them to change clothes, bathe, prepare tableware for uncle, but also ask them to say hello to him. But where is uncle? However, Miss Nanxiao treated them as usual without any difference. At this moment, Nanxiao is combing her long hair in front of the dressing mirror. She is wearing a simple and elegant shoulder-strap pajama, revealing her plump pair of jade rabbits, slender figure, flowing long skirt, and sometimes revealing her thighs and back. This sexy pajama is designed for this nightlife, not just for a person. Nanxiao walked towards the spacious bed, covered in exotic curtains, adding a touch of charm to the night. Duda feels that being a good person is also quite good. She finally came. However, he still hid in a corner of the bed trembling with nervousness, not fear. Nanxiao shook off her skirt and revealed her snow-white skin, leaving only a small shirt strap. Like a leopard, it swiftly rolled over to Duda Jun's side and blew into Jun's ear, saying, "Take it off." Jun swallowed a mouthful of water. His body was extremely hot and dry. He needs to cooperate. But he can't take it off. He has never taken off his clothes or worn them. Immortals don't need the clothes of mortals, he can transform his appearance at any time. Nanxiao impatiently tore at Jun's clothes, feeling increasingly sad and angry as she took them off. In the end, her hands met and turned into tears, pressing Duda Jun tightly under her body. She was so scared that Jun thought she was going to hit him again and shouted in fear, "She's just sad, just helpless, just sad." Two crazy beasts, fighting fiercely over a piece of clothing. At this moment, Sheriffan was struggling to climb up from the bottom of the villa and happened to reach her bedroom. He saw such a crazy scene. A sexy and enchanting beauty was riding on a pillow, tearing at a bedsheet, wildly pounding and shouting. Officer N's mentality has collapsed, his little cutie has really gone crazy. His disheartened tears couldn't stop flowing down, his face full of snot and tears. He forgot that he was lying outside the window, vigorously scraping against the wall. Those sad hands instantly brought him to the ground. A large figure fell on the thick lawn, and the servant was awakened by the loud noise. Nanxiao quickly came to the window and opened it to see Officer N waving at her. The ambulance quickly took Officer N to the hospital. The third floor of the villa fell down, fortunately not too high, and the lawn was soft enough. End of this chapter.